Hello and welcome to Coco Styling. My name is Micah and today I will be talking about dark autumns. You might be a bit confused if you haven't seen my latest videos on colors, so I will insert a card somewhere in this video linking it to my color playlist. If you're interested in learning more about color and styling, make sure you subscribe and that you turn on your notification bell. And if you want to skip all of this process, you can hire me to be your personal stylist at cocostyling.com. One of my services being making custom color charts for my clients. And if you already know your season, you can also get my downloadable color palettes. If we take a look at the chart from one of my previous videos, you will remember that dark autumns are both dark and warm. This means that they will look their best in dark and warm colors. Something interesting about dark autumns is that I actually feel like this is the season that has the most variety. When it comes to dark-skinned people who are also dark autumns, something that I have seen is that two things tend to change a lot: saturation and contrast. Dark autumns can be very saturated. These people are usually borderline clear springs, but they do look better in dark autumn colors. Some other dark autumns are actually very muted, but they still need a lot of contrast, therefore they are not soft autumns. Another thing to note is that their contrast level will also range between medium-high and very high. And now, let's talk about their characteristics. First, we have skin. Their skin ranges from deep dark brown to light-skinned, and their undertone can be very warm, or neutral warm. Eyes. Their eyes are very dark in comparison to their skin, so usually they will have brown to black eyes if they have lighter skin, and dark brown to black eyes if they have darker skin. In a few cases, they can also have dark hazel eyes, dark amber eyes, or dark green eyes. Hair. Their hair is also dark. It can be brown, red, or black, but it's always in darker shades. Now, let's move to my favorite part. Let's talk about their colors. This one is probably going to be the most confusing of all of the seasons because of how much dark autumns vary, and we will be seeing that in my examples video in a few days. If you take a look at their color palette, you will notice that their colors are rich and dark, just like the landscapes of late autumn days before the winter starts. In order to build a palette that matches your natural coloring, you need to look at three main things: temperature, value, and chroma. Hue or temperature. The temperature of their colors will range between very warm, and neutral warm, depending on their undertone and how warm their features are. Value. If you are a dark autumn, your colors will be deep. However, that doesn't mean that you have to dress in black head to toe. Since being a dark autumn is all about contrast, you will also need to incorporate medium and light colors to achieve that level of contrast that is needed. But you do have to keep in mind that those medium and light shades are also very rich. Chroma. As we talked in part 9 of my color series, the chroma level in your colors will depend on your saturation level. Pure dark autumns will have a medium chroma level, not too bright nor too muted, but the colors in the palette do look very rich because they are warm. However, some dark autumns can lean towards the bright side or towards the muted side. In one of my latest videos, I made a note on contrast, but in case you haven't seen it, I will also include that in here, because I think it's really important for all of us to understand how contrast works in dark-skinned people. And for those of you who did see the clear winter video, you can skip this part. In regular color analysis, dark types and clear types have high contrast levels, and soft types and light types have low contrast levels. This is something that I have talked about in other videos, but I think it's very important for me to add it to the clear winter video as well. If you have ever seen any information about color systems, you might have noticed that they say that clear seasons are for people who have high contrast levels. And that is true. But when you talk about darker skin tones, that is not necessarily the way it goes. If you have a darker skin tone, but you are on the lighter side of the scale, this does apply to you, so no need to worry. But you might be wondering what happens when you're on the darker range of the scale. Let's go back to my video on contrast types and focus on the section about opposite features. If you have very dark skin and you have light eyes or light hair, your contrast level will be high. But the majority of us with darker skin tones don't naturally have light eyes or light hair. We have dark hair and dark eyes. If you think about it, that doesn't mean that you have a high contrast level. Quite the opposite, actually. I'm pretty sure most of us have seen the black and white filter on pictures to look at contrast levels. I'm not saying this is wrong, even I use the filter sometimes, but it really can't be the only thing that you try to see contrast, especially when you're working with darker skin tones. Let's see the examples. If you're on the lighter spectrum of the scale, this can work. But if you have very dark skin and dark features, you will definitely see that you have a low contrast level. Now, you have probably heard this before. And you're not the only one. Every single stylist I have seen, even my teachers at university have said this. And it is that when it comes to dark skin, our contrast levels are high because the white of our eyes and our teeth are white. And to be honest, that doesn't make any sense. Anyone can whiten their teeth, and that would give them a higher contrast level, or drink a lot of coffee or tea and stain them. But also, you don't see people's teeth as often as you see their other features, so why take them into account when you're doing their natural coloring? It's not like they're smiling all the time. I think the white of the eyes can be used sometimes, but the teeth, I don't get it. Where did they get that from? That doesn't make sense. No one smiles 24/7. And what happens when you close your mouth? Are you gonna say that they lost their contrast and suddenly the dress doesn't work anymore? Now, with the eyes, sometimes I do use this method because if you have very clear whites, it does give your eyes a lot of contrast, but sometimes the white of the eyes can turn a little bit yellow or brown because of the melanin in the surface of the eyes. This is very common among people with a lot of melanin. If you use editorial pictures, they will whiten the eyes, so that shouldn't be a determining factor unless you're using regular pictures. But still, if the white of your eyes isn't as white as other people's, that's not gonna affect your overall image. And definitely it won't change your contrast level enough for you to have to use other colors. This is why when you have dark skin and darker features, your saturation level and brightness level will be a much better way to look at your contrast level. And that's not just for clear types. This also applies to dark types. When I started my investigation on color analysis for dark-skinned people, well, it wasn't like that, it was for me, basically, because my teacher told me I was a winter and I don't look good in winter colors, so I wanted to know where they got that from. And with a lot of things, when you try to go to the source, you'd notice that people are just repeating what they were taught without actually understanding why. The thing that I noticed was that no one was able to tell me why we had to use the teeth and the white of the eyes. But also, it's not like I'm gonna blame them for that because they didn't know better. Most of them still don't know better than that. As far as I know, this is what you get taught at most styling schools. But also, if that's the only information available online, how is anyone going to know that there are other ways to see contrast in dark-skinned people that make a lot more sense? And now, to finish the video, let's remember, dark items are able to wear very rich and dark colors. They have very deep and striking features that also need colors that mimic that level of contrast that they naturally have. If this is your type, you should stay away from cool and light colors. Basically, your opposite season is the light summer season. Not all the light summer colors will look bad, but if you want to wear light colors and pastels, they should be warm or slightly warm. This was everything for today, and I will see you in a few days with my dark autumn examples, and you will be able to see how color works with different features on different people, even if they share a season, especially on this one that has so much variety. And if you enjoyed this video, you can like, subscribe, and share it if you found it interesting. Also, I'm working on a video focused on neutral undertones and olive undertones, so if you know of any celebrities or influencers with those characteristics, please comment them down below so I can use them in my video. And again, you can visit my blog micalumsden.com for more information. And if you want me to make you a custom color chart, you can go to cocostyling.com and book me as your stylist. Like my other videos on seasons, since this one is a little bit shorter, I will be leaving you with some pictures of lovely dark autumns for some fashion inspiration. Have a nice day, and I hope to see you soon!